Grief isn't a pit you climb from. It's soil. It's where roots form, where new identity germinates, and where your future self is sprouting in the dark. You don't need to know what comes next. You don't need to figure out your purpose, and you don't need clarity before it comes. You need quiet, and you need calm. And you need a space to gently touch into that part of yourself that has carried you to this point. Even on days when you thought you couldn't go on, and even when you still think you can't. You've been navigating your whole life without a map, yet somehow you always find the way. Because you're strong. Because you listen to the part of yourself that knows the way before knowing why, even when it doesn't make sense to anyone else, and especially when it doesn't make sense to anyone else. Keep trusting this part to guide you now. Trust your grief. Trust your exhaustion. Trust the fear that trembles through your bones as you try to rebuild your life in the dark. None of it means anything has gone wrong. It's proof that you're still becoming, that you haven't given up. And even when it feels like you'll never find your way, suddenly, without force, the way comes. Transitions always feel like falling, right up until the moment when the new form appears. When everything is lost and all seems dark, that's when the new life appears. Keep trusting. Your story is not over yet. It's not even close. It has just begun. I got a mouse, a wireless mouse. And so I am scripting, but I'm only scripting that first part because that's a message that I'm getting channeled through. So that's what I'm doing now, at this time anyway. I'm going to allow myself to channel a message and write it down, and then read it as the beginning, and then I can go into being more unscripted. And by more unscripted, I mean pretty much completely unscripted. And then that's when all my awkwardness can come out. I hope you were able to connect with that message. What I tend to do is, let me pull this. It's an angel card. I'm gonna wait until I say this. I love writing, and I write every single day, and I have done that for at least 10 years or longer. I write every single day, and some of my writing includes connecting to my higher power, and I ask my higher power a question, and I allow whatever comes through to just be written down. And so a lot of my channeling comes from that connection that I've been forging for so long now. And hearing that part of myself that is the wiser part, and that knows that I'm safe and I'm protected and everything is going to plan. Because the other styles of writing that I've done are like connecting with the inner child, asking the inner child what she needs. And then some of it is just like consciousness, stream of consciousness writing. But so those messages that I start with now are me doing the same thing for myself, and then I'm carrying the message to my channel now, where I connect in with higher power and I ask a question and I allow higher power to come through. Higher power, you know, I don't know, like there's so many names for things that feel like it's just that part of you, that wise self, you know, the inner mother, the inner father, the part of you that does see the pattern of your okayness and does see all the struggle that you've been through and how much trust it's taken to get you to this point. That part I let have a voice so that it helps me feel more comforted and more like, oh yeah, I am doing better than I thought I was, and you know, that sort of thing. With saying all that, here's the card I pulled. Peace. And then this is my little bag of these cards that say what I'm letting go of. And for today, I know everyone always likes to see what I'm doing, and I kind of don't mean to put it off camera. Letting go of... I let go of pain. Yeah. And, oh, there's a couple of astrology things I want to talk about too that I'm tracking. There's always astrology aspects going on every single day. And, but I like to track the bigger picture ones that I feel like where I can really kind of take time to look into them and digest them in like a big picture way, and not in a like everyday aspects way can be exhausting in my world. That one. Okay. Higher ground. Who's that for? Is that for me? Or is that for someone watching this? Let's see. Move your thoughts, emotions, and outlook to a new perspective. Take an overview of what is going on. Just through shifting your perspective, you will see the whole situation in a clearer light. A different course may become apparent. You will be able to focus on what is most important to you. Make a conscious effort to get above the situation. If there is nothing pressing in your life at the moment, consider something that may be unresolved from the past. Use the same idea of climbing above it with the intention of healing it. Once you achieve the higher ground perspective, you may find yourself filled with peace, a beautiful outcome. You can always make cards apply to you, right? To apply to your life, but for me, I don't know. I'm not getting that, so maybe one of you guys are needing to hear that card. Oh, okay. Where are we at here? This is me wanting to share my astrology aspects. And also say that the last video I did was a video that I felt like so vulnerable and exposed doing. And I really appreciate all of the people who took the time to tell me like that connected for them. And it's so crazy how we tend to, I think, like see ourselves or see the, you know, there's like the tender, vulnerable parts of ourselves is where I think we all connect and feel touched and moved. And yet those are the parts that are always so hard for us to share with other people. And so, yeah, being able to kind of like just show that and then have it responded to in such like a kind, supportive, connecting way, like meant a lot to me. Yeah, it's just, you know, grief is, it's like today my brain feels like so clouded, and I'll have these moments where I'm feeling like really like, oh, I'm energized. I'm not thinking about it. You know, like I'm going through my day and everything's okay. And then it's just like the most, the smallest thing. And all of a sudden I'm like sobbing on my floor, you know, again. And one thing I'll say is that I'm really into working out and yoga lately. And I've always had those in my life as like ways to help me process, but I'm realizing how much they've actually been anchors for me in my whole like span of trying to make sense of everything that's been really hard for me in this world since I was younger. And going and doing exercises and moving my body is just feeling really, really, really good and really important right now. And yeah, that's all I guess I want to say about that. That's all I have to say about that. That's Forrest Gump, by the way. This is my computer I'm looking at. And I just moved the wrong thing. I hope everyone's doing all right this time of year. What a life we're living. Can hardly believe it sometimes. All right. So here's the astrology that I'm currently tracking in like a bigger picture way. And I'll make this easy and not like complicated because it's just easier for me to not make it complicated. But astrology can be so complicating. So on December 10th, Neptune is direct, and Neptune has been retrograde in Pisces since July 4th. And this is going to be the last time that Neptune is in Pisces since 2011. So it's like this has been a huge cycle for Neptune to be in Pisces. And Pisces themes are very like spiritual practices and feeling very like the otherworldly, unseen, sort of like tapping into those intuitive parts of ourselves. And it kind of may even have felt like this whole last chapter has been very like you've had more focus on solitude and spiritual practice and learning how to trust your intuition and those types of things. Well, Neptune is about to go into Aries in January, and that's going to start a whole other chapter. But Neptune did go into Aries back on March 30th until October 22nd this year. So that kind of gives a picture of what Neptune in Aries is about to be like. It at least kind of gave you a flavor of what it's about to be like. And I can genuinely say, and I'm a pattern tracker, I'm autistic, and that's what I do, and that's why I love astrology. I track all the patterns, I write things down, I see what aspects are happening, and like I write things down that are happening on those aspects, and I can feel it. So like I can wake up and just know that the intensity is going to be high for that day. Like animals act aggressively on certain days. Like there's been, yesterday was the Mars, the last of 3 Mars opposite Uranus transits. And it was crazy. And the last one was, I think, November 19th. And that day was crazy. Mars and Uranus are just like kind of energy. The dogs, like you'll notice dogs being more like aggressive with each other and crows kind of flying at each other and stuff. I swear to you, this is true. This is the type of stuff that I pick up on in the world. And so yeah, that transit happened yesterday, and those are big ones. Mars opposite Uranus, those are big transits that are very kind of like, maybe yesterday you had something happen that felt like out of the blue, or like there's more ambulances out on those days, and just sudden like roadblocks and things that feel like out of the blue. So yeah, with Neptune into Aries, March 30th to October, for me in my life, in March, and I also think this has something to do with the fact that March is right around the time where spring starts coming and we start getting that renewed sense of energy. But that's why these transits go so well with like just the whole energy of the earth and then us on the earth, is that there was a surging in me of energy. Neptune and Aries. Aries is very like action and get things moving. And when that transit was happening, my whole, like, my life felt like it was suddenly woken up. And I was like, I started going running again. And I haven't been running in like 10 years, genuinely. Like, I go to the gym and I walk and stuff like that, but I don't, I hadn't been running for a really long time. And then Neptune hit Aries, and I just like had this fire kind of feeling of like, I'm going to start running again. And so I did. And there's just these, these bigger patterns that kind of start happening where if you really can look back and see what was going on for you. And the way that I do this too, because I know people are like, I can't remember what I was doing, you know, on March 30th. I always am taking pictures. So I look back at my phone and see like, what pictures was I taking at that time? Like, what was I viewing? And then I also write a lot. So I look back on those days, like on my notes, apps and stuff. And I even track days of like, here's what's going on this day. So that I know, because I know I'm going to look back to see what happened in that time. Anyways, those are the main astrological energies that I'm tracking for this week. And so, yeah, starting January, I don't know the exact date actually, but January will be when Neptune is out of Pisces and into Aries, and then we're in a whole different thing. I've been told that 2026 is a rebirth year. Like 2025 was a death year, it was a release year, which very much was true for me. I lost my soul dog and I ended a business. And so that was because numerology says that 2025 is a year 9, a 9 year, which is an endings year. 2026 is supposed to be a rebirth year. And also, all these planets are going to be at 0 degrees of Aries, meaning that's like the Aries is the beginning part of the chart. So a lot of new beginnings are initiating when planets leave 29 degrees Pisces and go into 0 degrees of Aries, which is exactly what's happening. And that'll especially start taking off in February of 2026. And a lot of planets are going to be entering fire signs in 2026. So very different year than this year has been. This year has been very like water dominant, lots of Pisces this year. And so, yeah, that's all I'm going to talk about for astrology, and basically think that that'll end this video because my back's starting to hurt too. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you guys next week.